Hello, everybody. We're doing a live stream here, talking about episode 46 of the Bonner Breakdown with Linnis, Jellinek. Really amazing conversation. I think it's a really important conversation that we had today. I'm going to talk a little bit about it, but real quickly, I'm going to share this live stream on my personal page. Great. Awesome. So at any point in time, excuse me, you can comment. You can ask any questions that you want to ask anytime during the live stream. I'm trying to do these regularly. I do them all the time on Patreon, right? So on Patreon, after every single episode, I schedule a live stream on Patreon. So all of our Patreon followers, subscribers and patrons are able to go online. They're able to get the access to Q&As. We will be implementing live Q&A with the guests. So we'll do a half-hour live, half-hour show. And then we will do, we're going to start moving to all live shows for the Bonner Breakdown, which will be exciting. Excuse me. So with that, I want to talk a little bit about what's happening here with Linnis and the old Sandpoint Community Resource Center. Now, when the Sandpoint Community Resource Center started a decade ago, the goal was to have a centralized location for basically become a clearinghouse for information. I know that at the housing agency where I've been involved for a decade, that was one of the things that we had, one of our board presidents had really felt, man, we should be that. We ended up just partnering with the Community Resource Center as a clearinghouse of information because there are so many people doing really, really good things in our community. So many people doing really good stuff. And so the Resource Center actually is that place where you can find out who's doing what. When there's a need for resources, they're able to connect people with the different resources that may be available. With that in mind, they actually started developing a network for service providers. And these service providers were able to provide all types of cross entity sharing of information. We would have what's called SPIN meetings, Service Provider Information Network. So the Resource Center kind of had developed that. And one of the things when you have so many nonprofits in a community, it's great to have a centralized location for everyone to go. I know, like, for example, a lot of churches do benevolence. They have benevolence funds for people who are in a crisis or in a situation where they need some funding. And so a centralized location for a lot of churches is Helping Hands, Healing Hearts, John and Kathy Pomeroy, who we've had on the show here before. And I'm sure we'll have them on again because they're working on some housing issues, which is awesome. But what the Resource Center did was provide this real centralized location for all these nonprofits to come together and to begin to share information, to share best practices, ideas, all that kind of stuff that they're and also looking at the scope of the needs in the community. So the Sandpoint Community Resource Center has been a phenomenal organization, but they just got a really big upgrade. And so when you watch the episode coming out at 4:00, Linnis will tell you all about this transition to becoming an Envision Center. It's really interesting how the community has rallied around so many different causes over the years. We've taken very seriously the needs of the down and out, those who've had their houses burned down, those who've had cancer, those who've struggled in our community, who've, whether it was, as some would call it, bad luck or bad choices, or numbers of different things have happened. And, this community really rallies around those in need. And if you're not familiar with how this community rallies, or you haven't seen it, just wait. You'll see it come from time to time. And the Resource Center has been a great central place for those resources to go out. So they started this Envision Center process this summer, and last summer and began to walk through this door, and they're going to be opening up their new location out on McGee Road in the old Coldwater Creek building there. Lighthouse has a portion, and then it's the new tech center. I don't remember the exact name of it. Forgive me if for not getting that name right. But they're actually moving out there, and they're opening up May 3rd. They are going to be open, and they've provided now a space for multiple nonprofits to come together and be housed into one location. So the resource center was great because you would call in and you'd be able to get a lot of information out to people. And yet you'd have to wait and send them over to this location and this location and over here and over there and all around. Now we're trying to centralize everything into one location. I think this is going to be actually really huge for people who are in crisis. They're going to have computer access. They're going to be able to maybe take finance classes. There's a whole slew of services that'll be provided in one centralized location. So this conversation, I think, was really pivotal. That is exciting, but that wasn't the most exciting part of the conversation. The best part of the conversation was talking about the vision for a unified and open-minded, open heart culture of North Idaho, where we are gathering together, supporting each other, seeing past political boundaries, seeing even past some of the classic boundaries of that are put up here often. And so I wanted to take a little bit of time in this live stream to talk about the vision of this region. These are my afterthoughts, and I was really moved as we chatted through what is it that Bonner County is going to look like, Bonner and Boundary, North Idaho is going to look like, right? What is it going to look like? So we were really challenging, I think, ourselves in our conversation. This is towards the end, about 40 minutes in, maybe earlier than that. But we just started to break down, not just about helping people, but what is unique about North Idaho? What's unique about this place? One of the realities of the thing that makes this place absolutely amazing is the people who live here, the old timers, and the people who've grown up here. There's a mindset that they carry that is unique. And, I think that we're entering into a time where it's needed now more than ever. And so we talked about, what does it look like to be part of North Idaho, and why is it so unique? So that part of the conversation I thought was really good, because we talked about the needs in the community, obviously, as a community resource and vision center, the CREC. They're focused on how do we meet those needs. But then there's also this aspect of, with meeting all of those needs, with pursuing how do we help North Idaho become everything that it's called to be, right? How do we do that? And so we talked about some of the different aspects of integrating newcomers. How do we help people who don't have a North Idaho culture or a North Idaho mindset gain that? And it's really going to be, honestly, through outreach, right? Through, hey, come do this with us, get involved. And I think the Resource and Vision Center is going to be a great way to do that, for people to get involved and help serve in the community. I think whether it's a financial gift or whether it's spending time out there helping teach a class or whatever, there's a lot of opportunity for the amazing aspects of this community to be built up, to be continued, to be pushed forward. So I wanted to take a moment here. I think we've got, So I've got a little banner I'm going to throw up there. If you are watching the live stream today, this is an Ask Me Anything, this Q&A. I've been doing these shows for a while. I've been involved in the community for a long time. And perhaps there's a question about a guest, or it's really Ask Me Anything. So a question about, any aspect that you're curious about, let me know. And I'll try and answer that question for you. So if you're watching, feel free to ask any questions that you want. Just want to put that out there before we move too far forward. Okay. So I'm going to give it just another couple minutes, and then I'm going to jump off here. You want to watch this video. What Linnis is doing there, I think, is so critical. You want to watch the episode 46 or listen to it, or whatever it is that is important to you, as far as how you listen. But I will say that I believe what's happening with that, and what's happening with this amazing community, with the housing prices skyrocketing, the influx of new people, and a lot of people really struggling to stay here. We've got to have a bigger vision for this community than just the beauty of the landscape. We have to have a vision that preserves the amazing aspects of our community, also while looking at how do we develop the space for affordable housing. How do we, and by affordable, I'm not talking about cheap housing. I'm talking about stuff people can afford, because we're outside of the scope of affordability for well over half of the population that actually lives in Bonner County. Over half of the population can't afford to buy a home here. And that's a really big number. And it's not about their credit. It's an income issue, right? Income versus the cost of the housing and the cost of the mortgage. Even with the rates as low as they are, it's very difficult. So, a lot of these things I think are solvable issues. I think Linnis had a great point. Like, she calls this the decade of dreams. I thought that was a great insight. I think there has to be a bigger vision for what is it that Bonner and Boundary County can be than our political utopia or our religious utopia. Because I think utopia is a great word for how people view here. It's a utopia, but I think there's something way bigger that needs to happen here. And I think that a lot of people sense it when they come into the area. They're like, wow, there's something so special about this place. So perhaps we can discover what that is and begin to invest accordingly. One of the things that I think needs to happen is that the areas that we've seen generational motivational poverty, where we've seen breakdowns in relationships, and we've seen really difficult physical, financial poverty, we need to, as a community, actively engage in, creating a pathway for people to be successful in the things that they want to be successful at. And that takes all of us together on some level, choosing to invest in that. Whether it's our time and energy or helping people out, or it's taking the time to train or mentor somebody. There's lots of opportunities there. And I think that this Community Resource and Vision Center is a great first step in this process. So if you're a nonprofit, you definitely want to get a hold of Linnis. I tagged her in my post, and then you watch episode 46. All of her information is in the section of the notes information section. You can get a hold of her there. All right. So those are my initial afterthoughts. Powerful interview. Great conversation on vision. Great conversation on what's possible in North Idaho. And I hope that you can catch the vision. I do. I hope that you can begin to catch what does it look like for this region to unify around a common set of goals, a common set of purposes that does transcend our politics and is transcends all this division that we've kind of had fostered by some people here. So I'm really hoping that we can pull out of that mindset, out of that place. I'm hopeful because I have faith, but I also know that the things that we want to be able to do, the things that I think we should be going after, they're only doable if many of us, not a few. I think it'll take a few to start it, but many of us need to get on board and just start to give of ourselves in some new, different ways. This place is so giving, but I think if we can unify around a vision and begin to pursue that in this community, it'll be very, very exciting. So with that, watch the episode 46 with Linnis. I really enjoyed what she had to say. As you know, I have all different types of guests on. Comment on this video, on this live stream, who you want to hear from. I'll interview anybody. It doesn't matter who they are, even if they're people that have, I totally disagree with or whatever. It doesn't matter. We can always have open, honest, and forthright conversations that are respectful and honoring one another. Let me know who you want to hear from next on the show. I've got some shows booked out, which is great. And they air every Friday, 4:00 Pacific Standard Time. Put on the notification, the bell, hit all the things. All right. With that, I'm going to close out here. We hope that you have a wonderful time. Again, you can find us anywhere that there are podcasts. You can also find us, obviously, Facebook and YouTube. But if you want to support the show, go to Patreon. And for as little as $4 or $5 a month, you can give us the support we need to continue to upgrade equipment, to continue to get staff in, all that kind of stuff. So with that, thank you so much for watching. Didn't get any questions on the Q&A. So here's a question that I'll ask you, and you can comment. Would you like me to do my afterthoughts on live stream for a while on here or on Patreon? Are you willing to come on to Patreon for that? Do you find that these conversations are worthwhile? Any of your feedback is helpful. Good, bad, ugly, doesn't matter. All right. With that, we will talk to you soon.